All right. Good morning. Appreciate everybody being here. Just follow up from our game on Friday. Solid performance by our guys. Thought it was a good next step for us. Build off the positives, correct the mistakes. Felt like our offense got in a good rhythm and was able to move the football and score points. Did have a lull by both units in the second quarter that I already addressed. Not happy about that, but thought the guys responded well in the second half. I thought that effort was what you want. Just got to stay locked in and focused throughout the course of the whole game in regards to that. But I thought that our guys did some good things, obviously clean up penalties. I went through and evaluated each one of them. When you talk about the aggressive nature of some of them, and then also just the elimination of the two running into the kickers, unacceptable, can't happen. They were stupid when I mentioned it the other night, and they're still stupid. And then kicking the ball out of bounds just can't happen. So that will be corrected. And then just playing aggressive, physical football is the key. Also wrapping up the game, think about our scout team guys that give us a great look each week. I like to recognize those guys each week. Finn Walters and Aaron Stewart were our defensive scouts of the week. Josh Witt and Jackson Wasserstrom were the offensive scouts of the week. And then Jazz Boykin was our special team scout player of the week. So those five young men and many others continue to help us get ready each week. Players of the game, Omar Cooper was our offensive player of the game. Really encouraged, excited, not surprised, but just really good football player. And he kind of had an opportunity to break out, make a lot of plays, and be rewarded for just doing things the right way each and every day. Defensively, Linnell Carr and Nick Toomer were our defensive players of the game. Linnell continues to make explosive plays and be a dynamic run stopper and pass rusher. And then Nick, obviously, with a very important interception there in the red zone on fourth down. And Nick has really continued to play well for us and really encouraged by his progress and learn our system. And special teams players of the game, Jamison Kelly, really excited about what he brings to us in our cover units. His athleticism and effort and toughness, tackling ability is really important in those. And then Sean Ratcher, just steady, does his job, leads our special teams units and did a great job with that. So just excited about the opportunity we have with the Louisville Cardinals coming up here in a neutral site game at Lucas Oil Stadium. So love that venue, great place to play football, and obviously very familiar with Coach Brom and his staff, primarily coaches that we coached against these last several years, and when they were at Purdue, and so a lot of familiarity with both them as personally as well as in what they do, and so really good football team, a lot of talent, a lot of athleticism, physical football team, play really hard, and they're coming into this game 2-0. So excited about the opportunity we have this week to be able to continue to develop as a program, grow this team, and continue to get better. Obviously, we've made a decision with our quarterback. You go through, like we said in the beginning, and you go through this process, and it has been a process to go through, and did not feel like we had a distinct individual at the end of fall camp, so made the decision to go into the first two games, and so haven't had a chance to do that, evaluate all the film, be able to go through this and be able to pick the one who we feel like is going to allow us to be able to be our best on game day. And the one thing I will say, said earlier, I continue to say it even after the second game, we got two quarterbacks that I believe can both successfully lead our program and do great things on game day. But Taven Jackson is going to be our starting quarterback, and excited for the opportunity for him and excited for Brandon to be able to be in this role, and together they're going to help us do great things in 2023. Questions?
Yeah, Tom, you've kind of grouped them together kind of throughout the fall when you've talked about them, but what specifically, especially in the last, you said there wasn't even a distinction after that first game, but separated Taven, I know you mentioned his moxie, but what else sort of made the difference to you to give him the job?
Well, I felt like we needed to get to just full game evaluation because it was so close, and to be able to see, okay, who moves the ball down the field and scores points, and that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. And there's a field presence that you have during games. practice is important. We know that, and we evaluate that, and how you handle things. But there's nothing like the game, the ebbs and flows of a game, the emotions of a game. So it just felt like that there was a poise to that part of it, and ability to move our team down the field. At the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to, is being able to score points. And I think both guys can do that at a high level. I really do. And obviously, I think you saw that from both of them. Obviously, two different opponents that we were playing, but at the same time, I think at the end of the day, you got to make a decision. And I would say it was, it's close without question, but at the same time, this is where we are, and I'm excited about, the decision moving forward.
I guess I remember you talking about Peyton and Mike Penix both this way at different times, but were there things that you saw from Taven, just maybe the game brought out of him? I guess the game atmosphere as opposed to practice, as opposed to scrimmages, things that maybe you saw him elevate or just change a little bit when it was live game action? Yeah,
actually, I think he plays better than he practices. In regards to just pure, even some executional things. Some guys are like that, when the lights are on and the pressure's on, and you got to make those throws, and you got to make plays, and people are in your face, and you're getting hit, but I thought it was pretty telling. We had a situation where he got hit, he had to come out. Brandon comes in, throws a strike. Throws a great pass, and off the bench, and so just that ability to be on. Then we brought Tatum right back in, and so he got the wind knocked out of him. But at the same time, I think just being able to be in there, and like I said, we saw both guys needed. They both are young, they both need to play, and they both got those opportunities. So, but I think Tatum to me was to be able to have that, the game day poise and execution was critical, and got to do it on game day, and that's really where that was the final piece of the evaluation for me, and since they had not had that experience in the past. And so that was where it was a little bit different from in previous competitions that we've had. You had really two different guys, both of those times that had played more or less than the other guy, whereas you had now where you had both of them that did not have game experience at all. So that's where I feel like Taven was able to separate himself there.
Tom, at any point, did that become a clear decision for you? Did that occur over the weekend sometime after something you saw on film? When did that kind of crystallize in your mind?
Yeah, I would say on Saturday, after you had a chance to go back, I always want to make sure, I wasn't going to make a decision when we walked off the field. And, I wanted to be able to see the film, see everything, take a deep breath, evaluate it, and just, make sure we were all on the same page, which we are. And so, but yeah, I would say Saturday was the day you make that decision. And then met with both players yesterday and told them together, face to face, in the same time, and because we've been this way from the beginning with these two. So we've told them when we first made the decision about playing each one of them, did it together, and made this decision with them and talked them through it together. So excited about the way they're handling it, because I know they both want to be the guy, and I get that. You're competitive. You want to be in this position, but Taven knows he's got to perform, and Brendan knows he's got to be ready. And that's the reality of competition and performing at an elite level. So, but Saturday was the day. Decision was made, and then we communicated that with it yesterday.
Hey, Coach, I want to ask about Marcus Burris. He's a guy he's a transfer, but he's still a young player. Didn't play a lot before he got here. Got his first sack on Saturday. Looks more like a three-tech, but I know you guys are using him at some end. Just talk about his development since he's got here, and how high of a ceiling you think he has going forward.
I think Marcus Burris is a very special person and is going to be an elite football player. And you mentioned it already. He can play two different positions. He can be a big end or a athletic three technique. And we're going to play him at both without question. And I think his upside is really, really high. I think he's got a great future and can play this game for a long time if he stays healthy. So love his mindset, love how he works, love how he practices. He's just a big guy that cares a lot and gives great effort. So I think his ceiling is really high, and I expect him to keep being developed. I know Coach Randolph does a phenomenal job with that group, and then Coach Wilt does a really tremendous job as the co-DC that's really over the front seven. And between the two of those guys, he's getting excellent coaching and preparation, and I think Marcus is going to be really special.
Coach, Lewis Moore isn't the only guy you have that's come from JUCO, obviously, but just in the last couple of years since you've had him, where has he kind of grown the most? What's he bringing to you in the secondary, both on and off the field?
Yeah, he's a guy that I was asked after spring about somebody that I expected to, take a big jump or really be, a player for us that maybe nobody knows as much about it. He was the first guy that I thought of, and his interesting background. He's from Mesquite Poteet High School, which was a school I recruited in Texas for many years before I even got here, and know the coaching staff well there, and a lot of respect for the kind of players they produce. Tough kids, well coached, just know how to work year round. He was a dual guy. He played both sides of the ball. Really was predominantly a receiver, and then played a little bit of defense, and then went to JUCO. Was a guy on a team that was really, really good. They had about 10 or 11 Division I guys on that team. He kind of got a little bit lost, even according to his coach, in that recruiting process. And so went to junior college and actually did the exact same thing where he played receiver predominantly, and went on game day would flip over to play defense, which is that's really hard to do now when you don't get much fundamental work. So I just thought I loved his mindset. We got to know him through the recruiting process. Loved his family, thought he was a great fit with us, loved his athleticism, his ball skills, and just felt like he had a lot of growth because he had very little defensive training in his background, but has really good moxie, understands the game, just need to get a little bit bigger and stronger. Had him here for a year. I think that free safety position is perfect for him because of his range. He can really run, and he's a good tackler. And that's something you don't always have when you guys predominantly been an offensive player most of his career. The tackling part is usually something they have to really grow with, but he was a very natural tackler. And we noticed that right away when we got here. So I was high on him after spring. I'm still high on him, and he continued to grow throughout fall camp. He's playing really well right now. He's all over the field. He and Six, to me, those guys are everywhere. And just got to keep getting better. They're still young and what they're doing and learning. But I think, with what we do schematically, I think those are really two really good safeties that I think are just going to keep getting better and better.
You've put a lot of trust, Coach, into Matt Guerreri with your defense. We've talked a lot about it this offseason, and now with a couple weeks under his belt, how would you grade how he's doing as a play caller and handling the defense? And I guess as a whole, what are your impressions of him so far?
Yeah, I think I do trust him, and I think that's probably the best way to start. That trust is earned. I trust him as a person first, which is why I hired him. He's a high character guy that is a hard worker, is going to do things that represent us, in a first-class way on and off the field. That means a lot to me. Talking ball with him all these years and just everything, I knew he was a good fit with us in that regard. And honestly, when I had like 2 or 3 things I was looking to add to our defense when I was going through the interview process, and he was able to bring some of those with him as we talked at that point, and then now to bring them into what we're doing schematically. So that I wanted to bring someone in to learn our stuff, and then add to it, and they will allow us to really take this, where I knew we needed to take it to. So I just feel like he's very, very thorough, extremely bright, humble guy that listens to his assistants, and I sit in on most of the meetings, and between that and offense, doing back and forth. But I feel like I can walk out of there and he'll update me on what's been, either added or adjusted or whatever, and feel really good about it. And I can bring things to him, and he always does a great job of articulating exactly why we're trying to do some things a certain way. So, but no, it's been a really good fit so far. I think he's great on game day. He's a great communicator. They do a good job of, he's up in the press box. And with several of our coaches, but making adjustments. I think they did a good job of identifying things. Even during that long drive, we were able to make some adjustments and things we got to be able to do to get off the field. They were doing some good things schematically on a couple of things against us, and so just he's got to keep building it. Getting the guys to play hard. Getting guys to buy in. I think our back end as a whole group, corners included, are playing better as a group. And I think I give him credit for that. And so that's got to continue. And Coach Shelby's done a great job. But he's a really good, teacher. And he's really good, has that ability to capture the whole room and make guys feel part of it as a staff, which is critical in that role. So I think that, I have high expectations for our defense. And it all starts up front. And but I think he's doing a good job of taking the skill sets of the guys that we've added to our team and trying to highlight those, and that's what we're going to continue to do. And obviously got a big test coming up this week, so feel good about where we are, but we got a lot of work to do, and he knows that, and so we got to just keep elevating our defense each week.
Yeah, I guess having coached against Jeff Brohm before, how much do you refer back to some of his past Purdue teams versus, I guess, just watching the first 2 weeks of Louisville? And I guess what similarities, if any, do you see maybe schematically or just with the identity that they play with?
Well, first of all, he's excellent play caller. Gone against him for many years, and he's one of the best in the whole country. So, and a good play caller is usually just, they have a great feel, and it's timing of when to call things. And so, he has this system, and they're not, gone away from that, but obviously adapts it to the personnel each year. And so it's always a little different based off of that. And they got a really, really talented receiver core. They got two really good running backs and a really good quarterback that knows the system. He obviously recruited him to Purdue, and, Plummer's a very big, athletic quarterback with a big arm, and they love to stretch the field, vertically, and they'll also stretch it horizontally. And so, and they're running the football a lot better, when these first two games than maybe they have in the past places he's been. But which puts even more pressure on your defense without question. So just, you're looking at both. You're trying to go through and figure out, matching personnel. You obviously put a lot of stock in the first couple games, but at the same time, it's holistic, it's big picture, and it's trying to teach concepts because you don't really know, you don't have a whole lot of data, for this year yet. You really have one game, and then maybe half of a second game to really look at to be able to see this is where they want to be able to do things. So, but there's going to be a lot of in-game adjustments for us, but just got a ton of respect for Coach Brom and the job he always does offensively. He's a special play caller.
Linnell and Nick are two pretty new faces for you around here. Obviously, year one in the program. Whether it's them, Andre, Kobe, whoever it may be, you have a lot of new faces that are playing at a pretty high level right now. What do you kind of attribute that to, and just kind of how fast they've kind of acclimated around here?
Well, I would say, I put a ton of work, prayer, just to get the right guys, man. It was just, I knew when the season ended, we had so many guys that had been here for so long, and especially on defense, we're going to get a lot of new faces up front and in the back end, and a couple of linebacker spots, and how critical it's going to be to get the right fit for your program. And so a lot of homework on these guys. And my whole goal was to find somebody that is with them every day that can really tell me the truth. Now some of these guys, we already knew. Nick Toomer, we knew really, really well in regards to recruiting him the first time, but still hadn't been with him because it's different when you're a young man coming out of high school, and if you've been, the opposite would be if you have come from another university playing college football, you have a better understanding of how they have adapted to college life, the schedule of being, academically, physically, the football part, and the weight training piece of all of that. So you find somebody that knows them really well to try to get the best fits, because that to me is, there's a talent piece and there's a culture fit piece of guys that are going to buy in to play within your system as hard as they could possibly play and care more about the team than they care about themselves. And that's a challenge. There's no doubt about it. And so give our staff credit, to find the right guys that we felt like could come in here and be good system fits for us schematically, and also culture fits for us, and to be able to do the little things right on and off the field. So like our guys, I've said it for a while. I love our team. I think that it kind of got some early signs that this group could come together, and was showing signs of that, even though you have all these new faces you just mentioned, and we've got them on in all three phases. But just, it's still, it's an inexact science. You don't know sometimes how they're going to mesh with you until you get them here, and so I think we've hit on some guys that I think can really, do some good things, and you're seeing that already. Obviously, the season's young. We got a long season ahead of us, but it's 1 week at a time. That's all we focus on. So right now, it's about us getting these guys to come together and play their best football on Saturday.
Yeah, hey Tom. The receiving tandem of Cooper and McCulley, what are you seeing from them? What do you hope to see from them? And including, how well do they block?
Yeah, so you take those two guys, two Lawrence North products, and obviously Don was throwing to Omar, in high school, and I think two really good football players, that do block. Their effort in blocking is, to me, that's the character test. That's the buy-in test. That's the, hey, this guy gets it test. We brought in, an individual from the NFL to talk about that, to say, hey, what are you looking for in a receiver? And big part of this. Are you willing to block? Are you willing to play on special teams? Are you willing to do the little things it takes when you're not catching the ball? Everybody loves to catch the ball and, get yards and score touchdowns. So I look for what they do when they're not. And so I think those two guys are unselfish guys. Yeah, they want the ball, and that's good. Even you think about last week, Omar didn't have much production, and then boom, there you go, over 100 yards and a bunch of catches. So just I made a big deal about that. He stayed the course. I'm sure he wanted to catch more balls last week, but at the same time, every week's a little different. So, same with Donovan. Donovan's a guy that's a very gifted player, and once again continues to elevate his play at receiver, and that's got to continue to grow. I expect it even more this week and continue to become a complete player. Both those guys, but they love to compete. They love to play the game, and they're really talented guys that just love having with us. Not surprised that they're doing well. Expected them to. And I want to continue to see them grow and develop within our system and just keep bringing it every single week.
Another week, another appearance of the turnover belt. Is it something that the guys have been getting a little more juice with? Obviously, the defense really heating up. Have you noticed kind of a difference with trying to force takeaways and things like that?
Yeah, so it's a takeaway belt. That's the proper term. But, that's something that actually Noah came to me over the summer, and he was the kind of the spearhead of it, and he got with Declan McMahon, and obviously we got the WWE connection with that. But it's a pretty cool looking belt now. They brought it to me. I was like, holy smokes, this is legit, and it's heavy. It is big. It's big, and so. But anything the guys love it, but more than anything, it's. As you guys know, since I've been here, it's a huge emphasis takeaways on defense, and it's how you win games. We've only got 2, so to me, it's not near enough. I mentioned it when we had our team meeting yesterday. Got to get more takeaways, So they didn't put the ball in harm's way much in the air on Saturday or Friday night, but we got to create more takeaways. And so, but that's just another way to have some fun with it. The guys enjoy it without question, and it is a pretty cool little thing.
Just following up on what you said, you kind of told the quarterbacks together. Had you ever done that before, and what kind of spurred that decision to do that? I know you've mentioned the relationship, but a unique kind of circumstance?
Yeah, I've not done that way before. No, I've always done it separate. Just felt like I just wanted to, crystal clear understanding that they both heard the exact same message, and that way there's no, well, coach said this to me or coach said this to me. No, this is what you were told together. And it was, that's, to me, I just wanted to make sure, because I know how important it is that these guys stay together, and that they compliment each other, and they encourage each other, and they challenge each other, and they hold each other accountable, and they're got to be there for each other, and we're going to need them both, and that to me is a huge part of this, and just to be able to, whether it's within the game or the season or whatever, no one knows what the future holds, and so, but just felt like that we've done it that way the first time we talked with him, and we just wanted to do that way again. So glad that we did it that way, and that was just a decision that I made, and with Coach Bell, and feel like that it was the right way to handle it. Awesome. Have a great day, Elio.